Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Stage Banter with Mr. P. I have here Gary Bennett from Kill Your Idols, fucking great ass hardcore band. I think he spent a little bit of time in Sheer Terror as well. Is that correct, Gary?
Plenty of time, actually.
Plenty of time. Okay, understated it.
On and off from like 1996 to very recently.
That's awesome. And as you well know, this podcast is all about talking about stage banter, the bullshit that gets said on stage, the stuff that shouldn't be said, who should speak. And we're going to play some games, and we're going to talk about some shit, and we're going to have a real fucking ass good time. Hells yeah. So, Gary, how are we doing today, buddy?
I'm good. A little tired, but I'm good.
A little tired. You know, if you had said 1990, God, I think was it 92 or 93, I saw Sheer Terror in Baltimore at the Raid with Biohazard and Next Step Up. It's my first hardcore show.
I wasn't in that band yet, but I was definitely a fan, and I was definitely hanging out with the bass player, Mike Walter, that was in Sheer Terror at the time. So I remember when they were playing with Biohazard a lot, and I remember I roadied a little bit for Sheer Terror. I was in a band called Big Sniff with Mike Walter that was in Sheer Terror.
Right. Yes.
So I used to hang out at their practices, and long story short, that's kind of how I ended up in the band, because when Mark Newman used to leave to go to the bathroom, I used to pick his guitar up and start playing the songs with them. And when he quit, and there was a tour with another guitar player who's also a friend of mine, Jay Banks. Shout out to Jay Banks, that also was in Cause for Alarm. But
great band.
When they put the band together after that again, they asked me to play guitar, and Mike was like, "Yeah, you used to play in the studio, so I know you know how to play this stuff." So
yeah. I mean, if I recall, that's how like Milo joined the Descendants. Like, he wasn't the singer; he was just hanging out at practices. And he said, "I think I can sing that one," and then he did. He's like, "Fuck, you just sing them all then."
Yeah.
So
crazier things than that have happened. Like that's how Henry Rollins got in Black Flag. He just jumped up and sang a song.
Yeah. I think it was I think he's on Clocked In or something like that, because he had to go back to work at Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, and then they called him the next day. Hey, come up to New York again.
That's you never know. You never know.
You never know.
That's why I always said yes to shows. Like, I remember playing a show with like 7 people, and my bandmates were like, "Oh, this sucks." I'm like, "Yeah, but we met. We were hanging out with one in Rome, and I reconnected with my buddy Mick, who used to be in Violent Society." And he's like, "Dude, Europe would love you. I'll give you my Europe contact." And bada bing, bada boom, a year later, we're on tour in Europe. I was like, because we played a 7-person show. You don't know.
Exactly. And it's funny you should bring up Violent Society, because when Kill Your Idols first started, Violent Society was like a brother band to us. And I had seen them at CBGB's before Kill Your Idols was together. Or maybe we might have just been starting. It was before we really had anything going on, though, at least. And I remember seeing them and thinking to myself, like, this is a band I would want to play with. Like, this is the kind of music I want to do. Like, this kind of punk rock.
Yeah.
This kind of hardcore, whatever you want to call it. Like that raw, aggressive kind of thing,
That shit was in your face.
Yeah, it was. And we loved Violent Society, and we toured with them a bunch. And but the thing is like it's not to use the cliche PMA, because I know everybody uses that, but it's true. If you put the energy out there, these things happen. That's how these things connect. The story you just told me hanging out at Sheer Terror practice, or just like putting it out there. Like, I love that band, Violent Society. Like, that's a band I would want to play shows with. Like Absolutely. You put that energy out there, and it kind of, I mean, Henry Rollins jumping up and singing a song with Black Flag, ending up in the band the next day. Like
it's like, even the band that I'm in right now. I moved from Florida recently to the Hudson Valley, and I'm in this great band, great guys, and I met them through another band who I was given a contact with because I was touring with another band. And it's like, "Oh, you're moving there, you should meet this guy." Then I met that guy, and it's like, "Oh, come to watch this show." And then boom, I'm hanging out with the guys, and now I'm in the band. But it's like, the original guy who started that is like, I just put good people together. When you put good people together, good shit happens.
Yeah, that's true.
You introduce good people to good people, and good shit happens.
And something, when the vibe is not good, you need to get away from it right away.
Yes.
That's what that. And I've learned that all too. I'm still learning that. Like I still like I give things chances and I don't pay attention to what's going on sometimes because I want it to work. But like
Mhm.
when the vibe is not, when it's not there, when it's not right, when it's not magic, and I know what that magic feels like because I had it in Kill Your Idols, I had
Yep.
it in Death Cycle. The, that vibe
You're
is,
just smiling and you're like, fuck yeah.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
go with that vibe. If that vibe ain't around, you gotta fucking bail.
Nope.
So,
I broke my number one rule, which is always to like meet up and either have like coffee or beer with at least some of the band members before I like try and play with them, you
yeah,
know. And I got up here and it's like, oh, it's 90 minutes away. I'll just go jam with these guys. And I won't get into the details, but it was not what I would call a great experience. And I was like,
yeah.
man, I should not have even done this. I should have followed my rules, should have met them for coffee or beer first, and I would have realized that these are just not the sort of people I want to hang with.
Well, yeah. If people are fun to be with, they might not even be the greatest musicians, but if they're fun to be with, the vibe and the chemistry might make it what it's supposed
Absolutely.
to be.
I
You
would
know?
rather, because you just stay 8 hours in a van with someone. You don't want to like be fucking hating on them. You want someone that you're gonna hang out with and like look forward to spending time with that person.
Yeah,
That's my thing
exactly.
anyway.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
As I was saying in the intro, this whole thing is about stage management. I know you're the guitarist, so
Yeah.
you're gonna have a little bit of, I don't know how much stage banter do you ever say on stage? Any at all?
I talk sometimes. Like I'll use Kill Your Idols as an example. Andy has really good things to say in between songs. And I really love what Andy says in between songs. Andy's a bit shy. If he's not 100% like in that zone, like he might be like he might be okay to sing the words and engage the audience while the songs are going. But sometimes when the songs end, he might turn around to the drum set, and when he's doing that, that's when I know he's got nothing to say at the moment, and he's not like it takes him like a little bit of time to generate this stuff. Like he doesn't think about what he's going to say on stage beforehand because then that's like sort of rehearsing it,
Yep.
um he's a very in the moment kind of guy. So if he has nothing to say, he'll turn around to the drum set, and that's when I know I gotta break the ice if we're gonna be tuning or something. So
Okay.
what we try to do is we try to do like, one of the when I saw the Ramones when I was like 20 at
Yeah.
Stony Brook University, and the Ramones, as you know, don't stop playing.
Nope.
They just keep playing.
One, two,
They
three,
don't
four. Yep.
breaks, they don't tune, they don't do any, they just keep going. And they literally like they destroy the audience. They just,
Yep.
you have no time to breathe.
Bludgeon.
And I always remembered that. And when I used to go to sheer terror practice, they had a set worked out where they would play 4 or 5 songs in a block before
Yep.
they would take a break. That's when they would give Paul Bearer his opportunity to speak. Because once he starts speaking, he doesn't stop for like 10
Yeah.
minutes.
I've heard. I trust me.
So while they're playing music, they want the train to keep rolling. And I always
Yep.
thought that was good energy,
Yep.
So I adopted that into Kill Your Idols. We would make 4 or 5 song blocks, 3 song blocks, whatever's appropriate. And this way, maybe Andy has time to think of something to say in between songs, in between blocks. But if he's got nothing, that's when I'll walk to the mic and I'll say thank you for coming or whatever. I try to keep what I say to a minimum because in the past, when I was younger and a little more immature, like I would say derogatory things if I was
Mhm.
upset, like you guys are asleep or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like and like that's not helpful. That doesn't help anything. You kind of like bum people out, or you just make yourself a target for being made fun of. So, you
No,
know,
absolutely valid. My bands, every band I've been in, at least since the 90s, has done that same block format. And then
yeah,
if we talk at all, it's in between. And it's usually just during the brief, whatever guitar tune up that needs to happen, or like a
yeah,
sip of beer or water, and then like get back into it. Like Ramones Local Live, I think the only time Joey spoke was when he said, anybody ever read Stephen King's Pet Cemetery? And then went into the song. And that was like literally the only words he said that
yeah,
wasn't him singing the entire album. I'm like, that's how you do it.
We've done sets where Andy's like, I don't want to talk tonight, and we've
Yeah.
played the whole set straight through. And I mean, we'll play 20 songs in less than 20 minutes. Then, but
I
yeah,
mean, in my experience, like you said, he is very he's not pre-planned, but what he says is always very to the point and really gets often to the heart of what's important in like hardcore culture and community and unity. And
yeah,
so I always found it to be like this sort of, I was like, you know what? I love this. It's a quick little breather, but it reminds me why I'm here. It's not just so I can like stage dive and scream. It's because I'm surrounded by a community that supports me and understands the world that I'm coming from. And
yeah.
Andy always had a way of putting that into words.
Andy's you say like community and stuff like that. See, Andy, before Andy found hardcore, Andy was a hippie.
Okay.
Andy followed the Dead around the country, the Grateful Dead. So he's very like community. I mean, because like that's like different than hardcore. But if you really think about it, it's not like it's a diehard following. It's probably bigger than hardcore, the
Oh
Grateful
yeah.
Dead.
I live
But
in Woodstock, so trust me, I know.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
so you've seen these people, and
Yeah.
they love it, and they'll do it. They'll they devote a good amount of time to their lives, like running around after this band, and it is a community. It's a camaraderie. They could camp out in the parking lot, and they're all sharing things. I mean, that's kind of like how hardcore is, or the way it really should be. And
Yeah.
Andy came into this already with that mindset, and actually the reason he gravitated to hardcore was because the Deadheads started to seem very like you know how it is when things get big and like a lot of people start to get involved in it, and
Yep.
it's just started to get a little yuppie-ish, I guess is maybe the word he used. And he just and also like some like the Dead was like starting to charge a lot of money for tickets and things like that, and it started to get commercial. I mean, you know how can it not though? Like
Yeah.
when your band gets that big, and you're doing it for a living, and you don't do anything else for a living, like how can it not become commercial? Like
That's what happens. Like
you have to make a
the
living.
few
Now
and
it's a
far
job.
punk bands that made it big,
Yeah,
there's almost no way to avoid. You're more than a punk band now. You're more than a hardcore band. You're a band that is producing content that the whole world is loving on a much larger scale than that small niche market of us that like really found it special in our way, but other people are finding it special in their own unique way, right?
yeah,
So,
right.
and I always look at bands like I look like Green Day, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care what anyone says about Green Day. When I first saw them and they brought Pansy Division on tour, and we
Yeah,
were playing the Patriot Center at George Mason University, and I'm looking around and I'm in 12th grade, and I'm looking at everybody freaking out that a queercore band is up there. I'm like, that is the most fucking punk rock thing you could do right there. I was like, I don't
yeah,
care if everyone's calling you sellouts. You brought Pansy Division on tour. That is fucking
yeah.
rad.
Um, I liked Green Day in the '90s before they got signed to a big when they were still on Lookout.
Yeah, it was good
I
stuff.
love I love that kind of music. I
Yeah,
love melodic music. Like it's punk, but it's melodic and it's
yeah.
got songwriting. And I liked Green Day as much as I liked Operation Ivy. As a matter of
Oh, I
fact,
love Operation Ivy.
I had a 90-minute tape that one side was Operation Ivy and stuff like that, and the other side was Green Day. And I, when I was the short moment I went to college, like I remember I had that tape in my car along with everything else I listened to. And I remember I always people used to, they were Green Day haters back then. And I used to say, those guys should be huge. They shouldn't be a small band. They should be huge because they have hits,
Yep.
like they have, like their songs should be on the radio. And then one morning I woke up and Metallica had short hair and Green Day was on MTV. That's
But,
literally,
and that makes sense. I have a buddy of mine that I go to all these shows with down in Florida, and he's kind of late to the hardcore punk world. And I'm playing him stuff. I'm going to take him to see Face to Face 3 days in a row. And he's like, "Why are these guys not huge? They
yeah.
rock. They have great melodies." Like I was like, there are a lot of really really good punk bands that just got to the size that they got, and they stayed within their punk community. But musically speaking, there's no reason.
Yeah.
It's just whatever, however the major music industry works.
If a band is good and they're gonna make a lot of people happy. I mean, did Green Day really change much from when they were on Lookout? Not really. I mean,
No.
maybe they went to bigger studios, maybe they had bigger producers or something. But I mean, it's the same band, it's the same formula, you know.
Yep.
Like, and like I don't, I probably haven't listened to much Green Day since Lookout, and you know, like I'm familiar with Dookie. You know, how could you not be?
Yeah.
But you know, like I mean, like I'll admit, like the part of me that likes Poison Idea and like that kind of hardcore, like you know, kind of fell off on. Like I do fall off on some bands when they get bigger and they get a little more accessible, but that doesn't mean I hate them. That
Yeah.
just means you know, like I I I gravitated to punk and hardcore because I wanted to listen to more raw unabridged kind of music, and that's I just spend more of my time when it comes on and I have no choice but to listen to it. I do enjoy it, you know,
Yeah.
like
Nope.
they're a good band. I saw them, they played like on a rooftop on New Year's Eve, like maybe 10 years ago or something like that, and it was live and they sounded killer. And like you ever watch stuff on TV, and if it's a live rock and roll band, like on TV it doesn't translate, like
Yep.
doesn't sound right, something's not mixed right, something sounds
Some sort
empty,
of delay,
like
something.
yeah, there's some sort of delay, or you only hear the bass drum or something like that. Like Metallica used to I keep bringing up Metallica because I just saw them with my son recently. But what do you call it? Like Metallica suffered from that when they were on when they started getting on TV. Like it was just never sounded right. But Green Day killed. Like I was like, whoa, they sound good.
I mean, I'm a drummer. Trey Poole is one of the greatest drummers out there. That dude, so much skill,
Yeah,
so much skill.
yeah.
So, all right. So I got a little thing here for you. So we're gonna pretend this is one of those days where Andy's not feeling it. He's turned around. He's facing the bass drum, and you're gonna have to take care. I'm gonna, give you a moment. I'm gonna tell you the name of the song. Take a moment, and I'm gonna count to 10, and
Oh
then you're gonna
no,
give me your like 30-second whatever time filler you're gonna have until Andy's ready to turn around and sing the song, and then I'm gonna play the song. And the title of the song is "What Doesn't Kill Me."
what doesn't kill me?
Yep.
Okay. I have to say something about that song. Okay, sorry.
Yep.
You can see already I'm not that good at this,
It
but
doesn't have to be about the song. It's just what you would say while you know that song's coming up. That song could inspire you, but that's what's coming up. It's up to you. Anything you can fill for 30 seconds.
well, that song is basically about all the this song's about all the things that life throw your way that keep you down, and if it doesn't kill you, you're still alive, you still keep moving forward, you still keep doing what you do, you know. It's like Conan the Barbarian. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, you know, at the beginning of the movie. So that's what that song's kind of about. And I would also, if we were doing that song, I would also introduce our good friend Al from the Pist, who wrote the lyrics to that song and sang on it. So he would be singing it, and then I would say that, and then
Awesome.
Andy would like go to the bathroom or something.
And here comes the song.
Yeah. It's so bad.
So that's Al on there.
That's Al. Yeah, yeah.
You know
Al.
what? I always thought it sounded a little different, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's credited on there, unless we forgot to put him on there.
You
But
know, I am guilty of not always like looking carefully through all my liner notes and whatnot.
he came to the Creep House in Pennsylvania and sang on that. We asked if he could be on the record, and he's another one that's a friend of ours from the very beginning of this band, and we've been honored to play with the Pist, and they're great, and he wrote that song, and we wanted him to come and sing it. And I remember he was having trouble keeping up with it because it's so fast. That whole record is fast like that,
Yeah.
isn't it? We don't play those songs that fast live anymore. Like we haven't played them that fast live in a long time. It's too it gets too lost when it's that fast, Like
Yep.
it's
I
better when
understand that.
it's a little slower live.
I the first time I saw the Pist, Al, I remember was bitching about the cops outside. It was at the tune-in in New Haven. And it
Yeah.
was like even an accident that I was there. My buddies and I, three members of my high school band, were just going on a road trip, not even playing shows and just stopping in cities. And we had stopped at a gas station like Nashua, New Hampshire, and a bunch of punks pulled up and said, "Hey, you guys need a place to stay?" I was like, "Yeah." And so we stayed at their house for like 2 days. And I was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this show, the tune-in, you should come with us." I'm like, "All right, sounds like a blast." And he made the speech about the cops. I was like, everyone bitches about the cops. But then I went outside and the cops really were being total fucking dicks. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, Al, you had it. Sorry, I doubted your words, sir. They were being dicks.
Listen, like they say, there's some good ones out there, but like I drive a tractor trailer,
Yeah.
right? And twice in a row I had to pull over and go into the inspection area this week. And uh the first time I got like a full inspection, whatever. There was like one violation. Company takes care of that. It's not a big deal. But the second time I pulled up to where the guy told me to pull up to, and he's dealing with another driver, and he just goes like this. He goes but without making eye contact with
Yeah.
me. So I'm just like, was that for me? So like I just rolled down the window and I was like, hey, like he wanted me to just go. Like
Yeah.
he didn't want he was like, all right, he looked at the truck and was like, all right, and wait,
Yeah.
like he didn't want to deal with it. They were looking for somebody or something else. I don't know why they do these truck inspections. I guess they probably, but he just was such a dick about waving me through. Like he was so impatient. I'm just like, hey man, you're the one fucking putting a stumbling block in my morning.
Yeah.
You take it easy. Be
No.
friendly. Be friendly. Maybe people won't fucking bust your balls so much.
Yeah. I have had friends that were cops. I was a middle school teacher. I had middle school parents who were cops, and one-on-one, I've had really positive interactions. And then I've just had those sort of interactions where I'm like, dude, why is this being such a problem? It should not be a problem at all. And I'm
Well,
like,
yeah, I got friends that long time ago said they were gonna be. I remember saying like, you should not be a cop. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like you're not the right person to be a cop. And that's some people just shouldn't be
yeah,
enforcers of the law,
that is true.
carrying a gun.
All right, so
But
I'm gonna try something here with you. I'm
okay.
going to read you some stage banter. I want you to see if you can guess who the band is. And I promise I picked a band you would know.
All right.
I didn't go all out on the field and pick something weird that you might not know. I picked someone that I think you would know. And so
Okay.
I'm going to read the stage banter off of a live recording I found. All right. Hold up a second, you guys, okay? We still got to fucking take care of each other at these fucking shows. This ain't no fucking Limp Bizkit show. People don't got to get hurt at hardcore shows. Women don't have to fucking bare their tits at hardcore shows. We don't have to do something shocking to prove how hard we are. We're just coming out and saying it right now. We ain't hard. Have as much fun as you guys want. That's what this is all about. But please be very conscious of one another. You don't want to fucking hurt people up here. I know some of you punk rockers is about hurting people, but I got news for you. So please just watch out for each other. That's all we ask.
That could be any number of people that I know saying something like that.
I can give you one more paragraph if you want.
Sure.
All right. So this next song is a unity song. We sing a lot about unity. We believe in unity. We're not saying we want everyone to look and act and sound the same. Sometimes people put their minds together with a lot of great ideas and make something fucking great happen. And that's what we're trying to do.
I'm gonna say Kevin Seconds.
Ooh,
Is it him?
it really is him.
I know my 7 seconds.
I figured you would. Fucking hey, great job, dude.
Favorite bands, and one of my favorite singers. And we got to tour with them and do a split 7-inch with them, and they were wonderful, wonderful guys to go on tour with, and they really treated us well. And Kevin is of all people that I've run into, like sometimes like they say, don't meet your heroes because they might let you
Yep.
down. Kevin Seconds has never let me down in that respect. He's true blue 100%. He's a real deal.
I've admired them since I was, in high school. I remember already mentioned like Discord and things like that, and I loved the stuff that they did. But like when I was in high school, I started a small record label called Unity Records, and it was all based on the concepts and ideas that like 7 Seconds and the Operation Elevate song Unity, like that was just like that's what so
Yeah.
drew me into the hardcore punk thing. I was like, I made my band write a song about it called Unity in the Scene. So it was
Yeah.
like that whole thing. I was like, oh, Kevin Seconds, amazing,
Well,
amazing.
I like a lot of people into hardcore. A lot of people my age, especially. I found hardcore through metal.
Yep.
And when I say metal, I mean like the crossover of thrash and punk was happening,
Yep.
and that's how I found it. And the first few shows I went to, there was a mosh pit was like people getting beaten up, people getting thrown around, people getting hurt, and like it's amazing. Like to this day, it's like there's still mosh pits like that, and I don't understand like how people like I don't care how heavy the band is. Like I don't care if it's Hatebreed or Slayer or what. Like you don't have to hurt people.
Yep.
You know, you can relish in the heaviness and the anger of the song, whatever the lyrics are about, whatever it is that's moving you, and that's what we're all gelling on right now. We don't have to hit each other. We could grab each other and rage and like, but you don't got to hit each other. I always hated that, and when I always thought that was stupid. And when I got into hardcore bands that were more about the unity thing, and when I went to my first real hardcore show where every band on the bill was a hardcore band, and I still had long hair, and I fell on the floor and people were helping me up, and I was like, this is cool.
Yep.
It's cool. Like I don't like getting punched in the nose.
And that's the key thing, right? You fell down and people picked you up. I was doing this show in this small town, like bordering Virginia and West Virginia, and they were going to shut down this all ages show at a bar. And one of the regular kids who came got her mom who worked for the local paper to come out. And then they had someone from the town council come and they interviewed me and they're like, well, what about all this mashing? Aren't people going to get hurt? I was like, sir, people play sports all the time and they slide bases in each other, they tackle and jump on each other. In my world, you fall down, 10 people pick you up instead of 10 people jumping on top of you. You
Yeah,
might,
and just like with sports, people are going to get hurt sometimes,
yeah,
but when people get hurt, it should be an accident,
yeah,
not
exactly.
be intentional. I hate all that crowd killing stuff, and
Yeah, I went to a power violence show a couple months ago, and it was a small venue. We're talking like the size of like your living room sort of thing. And I
yeah,
got as far back as I possibly could, got my beer kicked out of my hand, then I got kicked in the face, and I was like, I just want to see a band. Like I'm not afraid of like a little, pushing and shoving or a mosh pit. But at the
yeah,
same time, the constant spin kicks, the flipping around, like you five have taken over the entire place, and the rest of us have to stand so far back. It's like, all right. And if you just did it one song, maybe, but it's every band, every song.
it's selfish.
Yeah.
It's completely selfish, and bands that encourage it, I don't like either.
Yep.
I'm not into it. It's not my world. So
I don't want to repeat what I already said on a previous podcast, but I saw Drug Church in Albany and they had a very mixed crowd because they had a very diverse bill. And it's like, hey, everyone, different people here doing from different backgrounds. Let's just calm it down, turn it from a kick pit to a push pit. Let's be respectful. And I was like,
yeah,
good for you. Good for you, Drug Church. I appreciated that.
that's cool.
So, all right. I got a couple things I'm going to ask you. I call this segment called Fuck Yeah or Fuck No. Things that
Okay.
should or shouldn't be done on stage. You kind of alluded to it earlier when we were having a conversation before I hit record. So this first one actually relates to what we were just talking about. Should a band ever tell the audience who's standing perfectly still, arms crossed, doing the shoehorn, to stop standing still and move or dance or mosh?
Um, I have no problem with people saying like, hey, move up, like, come on, have fun, fill this hole up or something like that. But like, I mean, we're not the kind of band that like, tells people to kill each other or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, but like, but like, we might. See, okay, now getting back to Andy. Andy won't say that.
Yep.
Andy will, if it's like that, Andy will turn around to the drum set. He'll give me a look like, handle this, and then I'll be the one to be like, hey, move up, fill this place up. Come on, let's get together here,
And I think the distinction there is moving up, right? I feel like if you tell people to dance, it's like a comedian telling someone to laugh.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know what happens too sometimes? Like sometimes like for some reason a band has a reputation for wild pits. And
that's true.
Like like our pits and sing-alongs and circle pits and all that get pretty wild when it's a real Kill Your Idol show. It gets pretty wild. Like some of the wildest shows I've ever been a part of have been Kill Your Idol shows. Like and it can get wild. It can get crazy. There could be piles of people totally unsafe, climbing, sweating all over each other. But I think, or bands might get the reputation for like a hard pit. I think sometimes when those bands have those reputations, like, and people haven't seen the band before, but they've heard the stories, they're like reluctant to move up because they think they're going to get kicked right away, or so that happens sometimes.
I remember when you guys played Fest, it was that really late show with the Knockin' Boots, whatever he keeps changing his name to. And my buddy Jason was there with me. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go up front. I was like, I'm going to sit in the back a little bit. I'm a little bit tired, but hey, you go enjoy yourself. And he's like, come down. He's like, that was intense. I'm like, yeah, I've been up there before. I'm on the older side of the world now. I'm going to stay back a little bit.
I haven't done that stuff in so many. I'm 50 now. Like I'm 50. Yeah. I'm like 300 pounds. Like I'm not doing that anymore. Like
I'm 47, so it's like
or get hurt. I'm gonna hurt someone or get hurt. Either way, it's not good. So I belong either like it's cool. Like a lot of times I get like a little spot on the side of the stage behind it, and that's where I watch the show from. Or I'll get off in the peripheral somewhere where there's no pit. I saw GBH recently at a really small place, and I'd never seen GBH before, and they're one of my favorite all-time.
Oh, they're great, and I saw them with the Circle Jerks in DC, like in 07 or something like that.
Yeah, I always miss them. I've seen Circle Jerks a number of times, but never GBH. I always miss them, and Exploited too. I miss them all the time.
I've never seen them,
but what do you call? I had the opportunity to see the Exploited with Cro-Mags, Harley Cro-Mags, and my son had a violin recital that night, so I couldn't go. But what do you call it? Anyway, I saw GBH on my 50th birthday, and it was at Amityville Music Hall on Long Island, small place. And at one point, I was in the middle of the pit, and nobody was really getting hurt. I got shoved around a little bit.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I felt comfortable in that pit.
So. Fuck yeah or fuck no. Is it okay for the band to ask someone in the crowd to buy them a drink?
I do it all the time.
Oh no, do you really?
Yeah. Well, here's what happens, and maybe I'm.
No, I get people disagree with me all the time. It's all our personal opinions. It's all good.
Well, hold on. I got this from Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer does it all the time. He's like, somebody want to bring me a beer? I find somebody that's like a friend of mine that I know that I could pay back later or buy them a beer later or whatever, and I try to get them to do it. But when Paul's like, there's somebody get me a beer, and like I'll get in on that. I'll be like, because here's what happens: we play this big show, you can't, there's no room to move, and we got Waters on stage, but we were so busy getting the gear together and plugging the wires in that we forgot to grab a beer. And oftentimes the promoter or whoever's running the stage will actually walk around and put beers on our amps, and that's always cool. I love that.
That's actually totally valid. Like I guess in my mind I always look at it as like the crowd is there to enjoy, not to necessarily buy you a beer. but at the
Yeah.
same, and I was watching the Germs documentary that came out a little while ago, and the actor like was mimicking from Decline of the Western Civ. I've never, I haven't seen that in years. So I was like, oh yeah. There's this whole live clip of Darby Crash asking someone, buy me a beer. Someone buy me a fucking beer.
there's
And
there's there's levels of decorum. Okay.
yes.
See, now you're bringing up Darby Crash and how he would ask somebody to get him a beer. When I ask someone to get it for me, like I said, it's somebody I know usually.
Yeah.
Polite about it. And if they're like, no way, dude, I'm like, all right. Like, I don't push it. I'm not
Yeah.
pushy. But when Paul Bear has got the mic and he's like, somebody want to bring a bourbon up here for me, I'll walk over. I'll be like, hey, get me in on that too. I'll be like, and one for Gary, you know?
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
All right. So you mentioned being old. I've seen bands that are old nowadays playing. Is it okay to complain about being old while you're playing a show?
I mean, it comes up. I mean, it's hard not to talk about it. It's hard not to, I mean, I try not to dwell on being old. Like I'm 50.
Yeah.
I could afford to lose a few pounds, but thank goodness I'm very healthy. Otherwise, I if I lost like 70, 80 pounds, I'd probably be in the best of health. But whatever it is I'm doing right because I can still get up there and play for excuse me 40, 45 minutes and sweat and stand in one spot and move around a little bit and play shows where kids are falling on top of us. And as long as I can still handle it, I'm gonna continue to do it. I mean, like um it's I think music and creativity and like they say, like rock and roll keeps you young. I mean,
Yeah.
just look at GBH.
Yep.
Look at GBH. How old are those guys? And my wife came to see them with me, and she said, "I can't believe those guys do this.
Yep.
Like those guys are like my dad's age, you
What was it?
know."
My buddy Enoch in Scream, he just got back from a tour in Europe, and he was showing me pictures of him with the UK subs. And I played with the subs back in 2001, 2002. And back then, Charlie Harper looked like he was aging. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I look and I was like, holy hell, man, but he's still out there rocking. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know what it is? You just have to be, it's like anything else. You have to be conditioned, like
Yeah.
you have to keep doing it. Like through the pandemic when we weren't getting together, I kept playing. Like I kept playing. I kept playing, I probably should have been doing other things to stay in shape, but I kept playing. Like my drummer kept drumming. Like you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Anthony
My
kept
wife bought me an electronic drum kit because she's like, I know you're dying because you can't get to band practice and there are no basements in Florida. So your drum set not here. So she bought me an electronic kit because she's like, I
Yeah.
know you need to hit something. I was like, I know
Yeah.
you need to play.
I had an electronic kit that I had gotten as a gift, and I lent it to my drummer Anthony long before he was even in Kill Your Idols. I lent it to him, and so he just one of those things he just never gave it back. But since it was at his house and we weren't getting together for practices, like I would just go to his apartment, and we would have practices with his, because we couldn't go to the jam space for a while because it was, now I got a jam space in my house that I bought
That's
4
awesome.
years ago. But the drum set's right behind you actually, and amps are back this way. But what do you call it? And all I did was hang blankets on the walls and carpets on the floors, like pieces of carpets. I mean, it's pretty makeshift, but it sounds awesome down here. It's better than any place we've ever rented before. So, but getting back to that, I would just go to his apartment, low volume combo amp, electronic drum set, and we would just run through all the songs, all the Kill
Yeah.
Your Idol songs, the Sheer Terror set because he's also in Sheer Terror, and since we just stayed conditioned. And if you're conditioned, it's the guys that fall off and like don't play for like 5 years.
Yeah.
That's
And
when it potentially you could just be like, oh, I'm too old to get up there.
I will say I'm guilty of it recently. My band from DC did a reunion show at the Auto Bar in Baltimore in April.
Yeah.
And we hadn't played together in 12 or 13 years. And those guys hadn't been in a band to get it at all in like the last 8. And I was like, oh, I got this. I've been playing regularly for the last 6 years in a band, but I forgot how fast my old
Yeah.
band was. And I'm like, it was very similar to like, the Kill Your Idol song I recently played. I was like, oh, I haven't played this fast in so long. Normally everyone tells me to slow down, and we're
Yeah.
practicing before the show, like speed up. I was like, speed up. I'm playing my maximum speeds. Like the song's faster. I was like, oh shit, I forgot how to play this fast.
Like I said, you played some stuff off No Gimmicks before. That was when we had Rafe in the band, and Rafe is a very fast drummer, and that was when we were at our peak touring, playing all the time, every night a show. Like that, like we could not play that fast right now. We would have to go out on tour and get the you have to have tour chops to play
Yep,
that.
tour chops, tour tightness. Nope, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so going back to the one thing you alluded before the thing, is it ever okay to like be self-deprecating, like, oh, sorry, we suck tonight, guys, or oh, sorry, everything sounds so bad, or sorry, everyone's not having a good time? Is that okay?
It's so recently, it depends. Like if you're being self-deprecating and you're poking fun at yourself for laughs, it's that's something we do all the time. But
Yep.
very recently, Death Cycle played a show, and it was a long, long, long show, and we headlined, and I was so drunk by the time we went on stage, and I pride myself on being able to play drunk, which but yeah, maybe I'm getting a little too old for that.
I'm a 3 or 4 beer guys tops before I play.
Yeah, I think I have to stay in that realm because 3 or 4 beers plus vodka plus whatever, that's not a good idea. So anyway, I mean, we played good, and I saw videos of it, and I was like, oh, we weren't that bad. But like on stage, it felt like we weren't playing that good to me.
Yeah.
And I said something to the audience like, I'm sorry, we suck tonight. And then I regretted saying that after, because I was kind of just like, you know what? Maybe they didn't think we sucked, and then I just put that out there. So it's just
And that's one of the things. I was at a band once where one of the members would consistently like apologize, but it was like sincere apology. And I was like, dude, they don't know. We're on tour. They've never seen us before. As far as they know, this is
yeah,
tight as fuck. Like, there's no need for them to know that there was a flub in that song. They don't know the song. Shh.
that's true. Yeah, the guys I play with, we're really tight. We're
Yeah,
really tight together. We have great chemistry. We could go a year without playing a show, and then get a show, and then we'll play like we've been playing. It's been like that. Death Cycle is like a sea monster. We kind of
yeah.
just duck under for a while, and then we come back up, and we start playing shows again, and then when we come back, people are like, oh my god, it sounds like you guys are still, yeah, well, we try to practice, but like I said, like I was just drunk and maybe just self-conscious, and I don't know, like I said something like oh, sorry, we suck tonight, and so one of my friends are like, you guys sounded great. It was one of the best times I've seen you. Whenever you think you suck, somebody always says that's the best time I've seen you.
Exactly. Yep. It's
So,
my first show with my new band. I couldn't hear them. They couldn't hear each other. We didn't sound check. And I just did my best not to like show how badly I knew it was going on my face as I was playing.
yeah,
Like, I know I am missing every breakdown. I know I'm missing the pauses, but I'm just going to pretend like I am up here feeling every moment of it, because they don't know. We
yeah.
drove 3 hours to play a place we never played before. It's a great little first show. So fine. If I fuck it up, I fuck it up. So
Plus, when you play a loud show, there's frequencies that are covering up little flubs,
yeah.
little misses, and things like that. People in the audience don't hear.
And they're drinking too.
They don't
They're
hear
like,
what you're doing on stage.
they don't hear. They're like, oh, he was supposed to switch from that drum beat to that drum beat. I was like, they don't know that.
There's always the gear nerds like nearby,
Yes,
in the front near your pedal board, that are like, those are the guys you gotta. Those are the guys that'll see you making a mistake.
that
So
is true. Fair enough. All right. So my next thing is about cliches. There are certain things that are always said. So I'm going to do my little intro song that I played before this skit. Hold on one second. Here it comes.
okay.
I am a cliche. I'm cliche, I'm cliche, I'm cliche, I'm cliche, I'm cliche, sing before, I'm cliche, live next door, I'm cliche.
All right. So what I'm going to ask is we're going to come up with all the cliches you and I can come up with, and then I'm going to have a challenge for you later afterwards.
Okay.
So like my example of a cliche is tip your bartender.
Well,
Everybody always says that.
Yeah.
Right. What else is what are some other things that people always say on stage? Like you go to a show, it could be a metal show, it could be an Irish polka dance, and people are going to say a lot of the same stuff.
We got T-shirts for sale. Like bands always say that, and I'm kind of just like, everybody saw the T-shirts.
Yep.
You know.
We're on the socials. Check our Instagram. Check our Facebook.
Yeah. That kind of
What else?
Keep it on the road, you scallywags. I don't know. That's like
I don't know that that's a cliche at all.
That's a Long Island thing. If you were from Long Island, you would know that that's more of an inside joke than a cliche. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I interviewed a band from Canada 2 weeks ago and they had some sort of weird ass thing that also like only Canadian bands do, and I can't remember it, but it'll be out on the next podcast. You guys will all hear it soon.
Cliches. Wow.
How about
I'm bad at this stuff.
it's okay. Thanks to XYZ for playing with us.
That's cliche, but that's necessary.
But
that's respectful.
It is respectful. It's a fair point.
You shouldn't have to tell people to tip their bartender. They should just know that already.
But you do. They always do.
Tip your bartender.
Tip your bartender. Everyone having a good time tonight?
Everyone having a good time tonight. I can't hear you. That kind of stuff.
Yep. I'm so happy to be here in blank city.
Yeah. And when you say the wrong city, that's always funny. When you mispronounce it, if you're in like Europe somewhere. What else? It's another cliche. I'm bad at this kind of stuff. I'm bad at on the spot stuff. I'm terrible at Trivial Pursuit. Like I'm the kind of person that'll come up with like I know information, but like if you ask me on the spot, I'm always like a deer in the headlights.
No, I get it. And you're by yourself. You know, it's easier if you had bandmates with you that would need support. So so on the spot, unfortunately, that's what I'm doing again. I'm going to put you on the spot. This time I'm not telling you the name of the song, so I don't want you to talk about the song. And this time you got to just fill this gap again. Andy's turned around, but you can't use any of the cliches we just talked about. Okay. So you can say anything you want. You just can't do it. You can't mention any of the cliches.
Okay.
So let me know when you're ready to go and just start. And then when you're all right, go. Got you 30 seconds. Go.
Oh, wait, I thought you were going to play a song.
Oh, no, I'm playing it afterwards. You're introducing the song.
Oh,
but you don't know what the song is.
I apologize.
And you're no, it's all good.
Oh my goodness.
And he's turned around. The crowd is there.
What would I say? I try not to talk. I'll give you a bit. Here's something better. Okay.
Okay.
So Paul Bearer does all the talking in Sheer Terror.
Yes.
But there have been times where I start talking also. For some reason, I have a microphone, and if I'm drunk enough, I'll go back and forth with him. And I'm not sure if he really likes this that much, but I think it's always funny when I'm like his foil on stage. He probably hates it, but you know, I don't know. But that's after a few drinks.
But that's I love that.
Like I'll say things to him, like he'll be talking, and I'll be like, "Are you gonna drink that, or is that just for decoration, or something like that?" You know what I mean?
I love it.
I bust his chops on stage. He busts my chops too. Hey, for years we played shows. Whenever we play not spoiler, Cup of Joe, and at the beginning part with like the intro with the heavy drums, he would act like a gorilla, and he would like mess with me on stage and try to mess me up playing guitar. So that's why I get on it. That's why I bust his chops these days.
As you should. All right, I'm going to play We've Tried Nothing, and We're All Out of Ideas. right.
Okay, so if we were about to play that one, if I had nothing to say, if Andy had nothing to say, I would say this next song is about the Simpsons. That's what I would say.
Is it really about the Simpsons?
No, the title of the song is from the Simpsons,
I thought, okay.
but the song is about a relationship that's just out of gas,
Yeah.
out of
I almost chose the one where like stop comparing us a negative approach. It's like I could play that whole song in the amount of time that I play a clip because it's only like 30 seconds long.
totally.
So it reminds me of my wife was in a band where she sang and she had to write a song called My Vagina Does Not Sound Like Kathleen Hanna because people kept comparing her to Kathleen Hanna, even though she didn't sound like her. I was like, that's the only female vocalist they knew. So she's like, stop it. It makes no sense. Stop it. I sound nothing like this person.
We did that. Stop comparing us to negative approach because it was an easy comparison because it's very obvious that's one of the main influences on Kill Your Idols, and we covered like 3 negative approach songs, like even like right in the beginning. Our first practice, that's what we were playing negative approach songs before we had songs. So it's basically like we're heavily influenced by negative approach. Like we wear that on our sleeve. Like we make no bones about it. We never said we were original, like that. Like we know, but
Don't say the obvious.
But yeah, it's like we know I don't think we really sound like them, but we definitely come from that spirit.
I would say, you already mentioned Poison Idea. I mean, obviously, like a 7 seconds influence in there too. So
7 seconds. When I put Kill Your Idols together, my biggest influence for the presentation of the band was live. I wanted us to be like melodic and fast and like like 7 seconds, but I wanted us like Sheer Terror at the time, the lineup before I played with them, like that lineup was so tight, like they were so good. Like I wanted a band that was like that. So there was like the 7 seconds in Sheer Terror were the model of bands I wanted to emulate.
Well, that's one of the things I always found unique about you guys is like you're technically you get called New York hardcore, but you don't tend to have that metal edge. A lot of New York hardcore bands, you almost sounded more like early DC Discord hardcore to me, right? Like it was.
Well, when we started, we made like Andy and I made a conscious effort to make the band as old school as possible, and at that point in time, there was a lot of like bands that were like more like a post-hardcore kind of thing, like not old school hardcore. So like I just figured like we'll just do a band and it'll be fun and nobody will like us and maybe we'll make a demo and at least we'll have something to do. And because at that point in time, me personally, I had given up on like the dream of like going out there with a band. Like I had a band that went full speed ahead and then broke up and failed, and then I joined Serpico and I did a tour with them, and that was my first ever real tour, and that was rough. I mean, it was fun, it was an adventure, but I was like, oh my goodness, I don't think I could ever do that. I don't think I could do that again.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm good, and then so Kill Your Idols was really supposed to be like bowling night for me.
Yep.
And then we ended up touring.
That's how the best bands start, though, is it with no intentions other than just hanging out with your friends, making good music. And then it just happens to become, I mean, Two Man Advantage was just supposed to be a joke band for like a Halloween party. And then it became a real thing.
Like, well, that's what happened. Like it became fun. It became very fun. And and Andy and I had such a good bond, and the early members of the band were full on into it. And, it just took off. And then I got in Sheer Terror. I always have to thank Sheer Terror and for the career, if you want to call it a career path of Kill Your Idols. Like me being in Sheer Terror opened the door for Kill Your Idols a little bit. I mean, I think we would have gotten there eventually on our own, but like me going to Europe for the first time ever with Sheer Terror opened up the door for Kill Your Idols to go there the following year.
Absolutely makes sense.
And I had no idea. Like I thought, like I went there with like a big bag full of demo tapes, like because I was gonna give out these demo tapes, and like a lot of them were broken by the time I got to Europe. But I was gonna give them out at the merch table every night, and then I get there, and it turns out we already have a following over there.
Wow.
Like I didn't, yeah. So I didn't. People were coming to the merch. Like I was the kid in the Sheer Terror, the kid.
Yeah.
I was doing the merch, and like people were coming to the merch table and they knew who Kill Your Idols was, and they were bringing vinyl. They had vinyl, wanted me to sign it, and so I would have never known it was like that.
Yep.
'Cause it was
That's the beauty of Europe. Europe's amazing.
not a lot of people were on the internet yet.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's I have Sheer Terror to thank for that. So.
All right, well, yeah, that concludes most of the things that I do on my show. I hope you had a good time.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I could hang out and talk with you for hours, but I know you've got family and I've got family. And I just say, like, this has been an honor. Like, I was literally texting one of my buddies, like, dude, I'm about to get on a Zoom call with Gary from Cool. I was like, fucking A. And I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, thank you.
Me too, man. I love doing this stuff. I like chatting and talking with people, and like we're not the biggest band, but like even on the Instagram page, like sometimes it's hard to keep up with everybody. We do get messaged a lot, but like I try to keep up with everybody and try to talk to everybody, because
all the more reason I love you guys.
like getting back to like talking about like when your band becomes big and it becomes your job, and it has to become commercial now. Like you have to sell things, you have to sell tickets, you have to pay the overhead, all that stuff. Like in doing Kill Your Idols, the like touring and the process of like being in the record industry and all of that stuff, like me and Andy kind of realized like that's not what we want for ourselves. Like we want to be a band that's that has a loyal. We have a good following. We toured. We still have younger people getting into us, which is great. That's a blessing. And it's like I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful we still have this. And we only play like once or twice a year,
Yep.
but I'm thankful for that. And you know what? Nobody has to like your band. Nobody has to get into your band. There's plenty of stuff out there for people to do. There's plenty of bands out there. There's plenty of hardcore bands. Like nobody has to like your band. So if somebody writes you and takes the time to write you, like it's nothing for me to make the time to get back to them and talk to them and have a conversation.
I had a young man that was probably in his 30s when he was a teenager. Apparently, he was off in a juvenile or whatever, and he's like, I emailed all sorts of people, and you, the drummer of such and such band, you're the only one that ever responded to me. I was like, you wrote me. He's like, you don't know what that meant to me. There was like a teenage kid and this guy who plays in this band that I love, and I write him and he writes me back like the next day. I was like, it's what you do. You take the time to care.
I don't get that bent out of shape about it, but like if I write somebody for any reason and they never get back, like it's kind of just like,
no, he wasn't bent out of shape. He was honored that I wrote him back.
It's so easy to write back and hit send. Like you don't have to write on paper and put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and go down to the post office.
It's email or text messaging or Instagram now. So yeah,
like I mean, like, and it's nothing. It's nothing. If people are interested in what you're doing and they like it and they love it and they appreciate it, you should let them know that you're thankful for that.
Absolutely.
And that's how friendships are built too. Like like having conversations with people that you haven't met before, or maybe you met them before but you haven't spoken to them in a long time, and Instagram brought you back together. That's what it's really for. Like that's the positives of the internet, and there's a lot of negatives to the internet, but that's the positive thing.
I agree, because that's how we're meeting right now. And I got to tell you, next time you play, I'm going to come out. You can point at me and say, Scott, get me a beer, and I will get you a beer. Awesome. And a shot of whiskey and vodka.
Awesome. Shot of whiskey's good. We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. But I'm going to let you go, Gary, because I don't want to monopolize your time. I can't thank you enough for this. Once the video is done, I will send it your way. Everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for. I'm not going to close it on you. I'm just going to close out the show.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you everyone for listening. We're gonna have some more episodes coming out soon with some other great bands. We got the Bull Weevils coming up. We got Chesty Malone and the Slice 'em Ups, and some other rad ass bands coming your way. So thanks everyone, and go fucking buy some hardcore vinyl records already.